Om Shanti. Today in the Murli, Baba says, sweet children, only the one Father does altruistic service of this world, because you definitely do receive the fruit of whatever deeds you perform. So, Baba says that he's the only one who does service but doesn't receive any fruit. And Baba gives that in detail. Baba says that you Brahma Kumars, Kumaris say we are becoming the masters of the world through Bap Dada. No one else can become the master of the world. Lakshmi and Narayan are the masters of the world. Shiv Baba cannot be the master of the world. There is no one else who does such altruistic service. Everyone definitely receives the fruit of whatever service they do, whether it is social work or whatever people do on the path of devotion or anywhere else. They definitely do receive the fruit of what they do. The government pays them. The Father says, I alone do altruistic service, in that I make you children into the masters of the world, whereas I don't become that. I make you children happy. I make you into the masters of the land of happiness and give you happiness for 21 births. And I then go to my land of nirvana and sit in the stage of retirement. Okay, so Baba says that I carry out this task of making you into deities of the new world, but then I'm doing this task, but I don't become the master of the new world. I go and sit in my retirement after that, and you rule. And there is no other soul in this world who doesn't reap the fruit of their karma. So whatever anybody does, they definitely receive a fruit of that karma. If they have done something good, they receive a good fruit. If they haven't done something good, they receive a bitter fruit. But then we are on Karam Kshetra and everybody receives a fruit of what they do. But Baba doesn't receive the fruit of his action. Do you understand? There is a difference between how we souls operate and how Baba operates. And in Hinduism, we say Paramatma is Akarta Abhokta, and then he is Karan Karavanhar. Okay, so Paramatma is Akarta Abhokta, and then he is Karan Karavanhar, which means he doesn't do anything, he doesn't reap the fruit of what he does or what he doesn't do. And then the second Mahima is that he does everything. Okay, so this is very interesting how Baba does everything and doesn't do anything. Okay, now I will share an experience with you in this regard. And there is this sister who once called me and said Didi, what does Baba do? I mean, we wake up at Amrit Vela, okay? We meditate, we listen to Murli, we do pure action, we do seva, we invest our body, mind, and wealth. What is Baba doing? We are changing the world. What is Baba doing? Okay, so this is the beautiful thing about Baba, you know. He does everything in a manner in which even children who understand what he does sometimes get confused what he does actually. So let's understand what Baba says about himself today in the Murli. Now Baba says, Baba has to come here once for you children. Since heaven is being established, hell definitely has to be destroyed. You now know that Shiv Baba is carrying out establishment of the original, eternal deity religion through Brahma. You children know you are once again changing from humans into deities. It is in your intellects that every 5,000 years you come and become the children of Shiv Baba through Brahma in order to receive your inheritance. He is the purifier. He is also full of knowledge, the ocean of knowledge. He teaches you yoga, that is remembrance. But how can someone who is incorporeal explain to you? This is why he says, it is through Brahma that I change you from humans into deities. That is, I inspire the establishment of the deity religion. The deity religion doesn't exist now. It has to be created again. I once again inspire the establishment of the original eternal deity religion and take everyone back to the land of liberation. Now, what is inspiration? Now, this inspiration is a very interesting thing. So, you see, you are going about, let's take a very simple example. You are going about cooking a certain thing in a certain way. Yes? Maybe in an unhealthy way. Maybe you're preparing your dish in an unhealthy way. And then you find someone who does it differently, right? And then you observe them. And they are not teaching you anything. They are just doing it differently from you. And then you observe and you learn. And when you learn, you start doing it differently from tomorrow, and then you start taking the benefit of it. But then, if you didn't have that template, if you didn't have that person who was doing it differently, then you wouldn't be able to do it differently. Yes, so this is inspiration. Now you see, Shiv Baba has the knowledge, Shiv Baba has the purity, Shiv Baba has the spiritual love, which we are incapable of right now. Yes, we did not have access to this. And then what Shiv Baba does is, he comes, he sits in the body of Brahma Baba, and he just behaves like himself. Okay? He just behaves like himself. And then Brahma Baba starts understanding how he has to behave from him. And then he starts doing things, thinking, speaking, acting differently. So earlier Brahma Baba used to read the Gita. And when Shiv Baba just talks, just starts speaking to Brahma Baba about the truth that he knows, then Brahma Baba starts understanding the Gita differently. And then Brahma Baba starts, sharing whatever Shiv Baba is inspiring. Okay, so Brahma Baba takes that truth and then he puts it into his understanding and then he starts sharing it. Or Brahma Baba was also a family person and he knew how to deal with relationships. He knew how to take care of people around him physically. But then he understands from Shiv Baba that this needs to be done differently, because Shiv Baba says that you shouldn't love someone in a manner that he becomes attached to you. You love someone in a manner that they become attached to Baba. So then he starts incorporating them incorporating that in his relationships. And then he sees that Shiv Baba comes from the soul world and he's sitting in this impure world and he is doing his job of, sharing whatever he has to. But then he is not in a haste. He is doing it with complete peace and calmness, and he has a lot of hope and no expectations. So he has a lot of hope that all his children are becoming deities, but he has no expectations because he knows they are at their worst right now, so they might take a long time. So then Brahma Baba starts learning how you operate with a lot of hope and no expectation. And then this is how Shiv Baba inspires through his knowledge, his peace, his purity. And Shiv Baba teaches one instrument, and along with that, whoever is, in and around. And then everyone picks on whatever they can according to their destiny, their drama, and then everything starts changing. And this is why Shiv Baba is like a catalyst, who stays unchanged and brings about a reaction. So Baba says, I do everything. So everything is inspired by me and triggered by me. And that inspiration is also not subtle. It is very gross. Like I come, I sit, I talk, and I share. But then it's you who do the action. Because I don't have a body, I can't act. So I do everything in a very physical manner, but then it's again, it's because I don't have a body, so the one who executes is a human being. So that's Brahma Baba. So this is why Shiv Baba does everything, and yet he doesn't have to reap the consequences of any of his actions. Because if he reaps the consequences of his actions, then he has to come and rule in the golden age, and then he also has to come down. So he has to rule, and then he has to lose his energy, and then he will also be depleted. So Baba says, this is my role. I am the only one who is Akarta, Abhokta, and Karan Karavanhar. And then there is another excerpt in which Baba talks about his action, and Baba says that you receive the inheritance of wealth from your worldly father. Together with that, you also receive inheritance to become impure. So Your father gives you money and he also gives you all the know-how of how to become impure. And then one is of your worldly father, the other is of the father from beyond this world. So that one from beyond the world gives us the inheritance of purity and pure love and pure peace. And this one is the subtle father in between, who? Brahma Baba. This one is in between, is connected to both sides. So Baba says he's physical as well as he's connected to the incorporeal Shiv Baba. Shiv Baba doesn't have any difficulty. This one has to take so many insults. In fact, Krishna isn't insulted. This one is trapped in between. It is said that the Brahmin became trapped while moving along his own path. So there is a saying that in Sindhi, which is Vat Vende Baman Fato, which is a Brahmin was just walking on the street and then he got trapped. So Baba says, what is that saying about? That saying about is this, that saying is about this Brahma Baba who was just going about his life and then Shiv Baba trapped him. And then what did Shiv Baba do? He made him the instrument of all his tasks, and then he became the recipient of all the insults. Yes, and everybody, they defamed Brahma Baba and they thought that this Brahma Baba is trying to introduce purity in our houses. And then because of that purity, there is so much of, tamasha going on. And, and then Brahma Baba was insulted so much. Now Baba says, this one was trapped in between to take the insults because Shiv Baba does it through him and Shiv Baba doesn't get insulted because nobody can see Shiv Baba. So this is why he is Akarta Abhokta. Only the subtle father has to tolerate these things. No one knows that Shiv Baba enters this one and purifies the impure. It is because of remaining pure that some are beaten. So Baba says that it is Brahma Baba who through whom Shiv Baba works, and then Brahma Baba gets insulted. Now let me ask you one question. So there was a time when Shiv Baba came from the soul world, and when lust, anger, ego, attachment, and greed were upheld as very normal, and then there was nobody who had ever questioned lust, primarily. And then Shiv Baba came, and then this whole process of purification started, and Brahma Baba had to deal with a lot of upheaval. Yes. And we came at a different time. We came at a time when the Brahma Kumaris were popular as a very reputed institution, and nobody stopped us from going there. Yes, and everybody said that, okay, so this is a prestigious institution, and yes, they work for peace and they are good people. And so we came, and we didn't have too much of resistance. Now, do you think that if we had been in a time when there was so much of defamation of Baba's knowledge, at that time we could have survived those insults and those actions against Baba's work? So do you think we would have that kind of tolerance? So if you think about it, you get the answer that we belong to the time we came. We don't belong to that time, and I don't know, I'm not sure if we would have been able to handle that. Okay, so this is why, Brahma Baba becomes the number one. And in Sunday's Murli, Baba said that Brahma Baba had no example in front of him. And he had 100% faith, and a faith which had no explanation. These days we have faith, but our faith is founded on so many things. Yes, and yesterday there was one sister and she said, I like the BK people. So I said, why? What is the reason why you like this whole community? So she said, you people are all educated and spiritual. I don't like people who are uneducated and spiritual. So, I like the fact that educated people are associated with this organization. So you see, people have such bizarre foundations of faith. So her faith comes from the fact that we are educated and spiritual. So there are so many reasons why you have faith today. You probably saw somebody who was very logical in their reasoning. You probably saw somebody who was very pure in vibration. Maybe you saw the atmosphere of the center. Maybe you saw the family which was very committed, and you understood that they are good people. So there are so many reasons. Or even about understanding knowledge, we have so many examples and illustrations and beautiful representations these days, comparison with science, which makes it very easy to understand. So there are so many reasons why we have faith. But think about Baba. Baba had no example. Shiv Baba entered Brahma Baba and said, Chalo, let's create Satyug. So, and then do you understand that Brahma Baba gave up everything that he had? So there is a lot of difference between giving up something, giving up more than something, and giving up everything. So Brahma Baba gave up everything. He gave up his entire relationship structure. So he didn't honor the relationship of, a husband or a father or anything. He just became a spiritual father to everybody around him, and that is huge. So we are also changing from Lokik to Alokik, but do you see, it is so gradual. It is so gradual. It takes 10 years to shift, from a husband to a friend. So, it's becoming a spiritual partner is something else, just from this feeling that I'm a wife or a husband to I'm a friend or a companion, it takes so long. And then Brahma Baba gave up everything, every consciousness of relationship that he had, every ounce of his wealth, everything that he had. He just surrendered in the yajna. He never thought that I'm a 60-year-old man and my body is entitled to rest now. He gave every katra of his energy, the body's energy, to Yajna Seva. And I was listening in the Sunday class, and there was somebody who was asking that sometimes, it's been 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock at night because of some problem at home, and then we sleep late, and then should we skip Amrit Vela on those days, or should we give ourselves the freeway, or the liberty to get up late? And then you see, we think so much about our body, we don't allow our body to think about itself. So you don't allow your body to get tired. Do you get it? You are so attached to your body. You want to protect it before it signals it's tired. Yes, you decide, I'm 60, so I should take rest. Yes, you decide it. You don't ask, you don't allow your body even to give an indication. Just like, when we are attached to our children, what we do? We feed them before they say, I'm hungry. We feed them before they say, I'm hungry. So this is an aspect of attachment. You don't work out of need. You give more than necessary. And this is what happens to the body also. We are so attached to the body, we don't see how the body is operating or what signal the body is giving. We suggest to the body, please take rest, you will get tired. I'm the one telling my body, you will get tired, so please take rest. No, let the body signal. If the body is tired, it will give you a signal. So what is a respectable relationship? A respectable relationship is one where you listen to the other one's needs and you don't give more than necessary. So if you don't listen to the body when it signals that it needs rest, that's abuse. But you don't have to create the thought that it will get tired, so I have to take care of it. So this is what a healthy relationship is about. When you listen to the other party and you respond with responsibility, but you don't pre-assume on their part. So if somebody is signaling you, you pay heed to it, you respond to it. But if you are just assuming on their part, that's irresponsible. That's because of your attachment. Maybe your attachment to your idea, or your attachment to that party or that person or that thing. So this is something. So everything signals, and we have to listen to those signals and be very aware. So there are signals which are emotional, there are signals which are verbal, there are signals which are physical, and we need to respond to those. But giving more than necessary is attachment, and that's discouraged. So Brahma Baba gave up his attachment to his body. And he must have handled his body well, because his body continued to last very long. So it's not that he must not have taken care of his body. Yes, he sat straight without a backrest up to the age of 92. So he must have done something right with his body. Yes, and what is that something right? He used it to serve Baba's work and took care of it, because that's serving Baba's task. So he had a relationship of seva with his body, not a relationship of attachment. So he took care of the body because it was an instrument of service. He took very good care of it, but the reason was not because he was attached to it. The reason was because it is a seva instrument. So, taking care is one thing, another thing is why you are taking care, and the intention defines the action. So, Baba says that Brahma Baba, Shiv Baba, because Shiv Baba is the ocean of purity and ocean of knowledge and ocean of peace. And he inspired Brahma Baba to become an embodiment of all of this. And then because of that, we became who we became by being inspired by many others before us. So this whole task is conducted through inspiration, where everybody is inspiring each other through thought, word, and action. And Shiv Baba brought that thought, that energy with him from the soul world. That thought of knowledge, that energy of purity, that energy of love and peace, which was passed on, and which will kind of multiply in such a manner that it will create this world called heaven. So Baba says this is why he's Akarta, Bhokta, and yet Karan Karavanhar. And what I was talking to you is very similar to what Baba discusses in the slogan today. And in the slogan, Baba says, in order to become a conqueror of attachment, have love for the sake of service, not for your own selfish motives. Okay, so you have to love your body, love people around you, love your work, but not because you want them to love you back, or just because you have this idea that they should stay well, but because of service. Okay, so you want, so you see that in the center, we take very good care of each other. Yes, we take very good care of what everyone needs, and whether they have eaten or not eaten, or whether they are fine or not. And don't we take care of each other in the family? We do, right? In the spiritual family also we do. You people also ask whether we need something or not need something, or whether we are doing well or not. And we also ask you vice versa. But why? That's the reason. Because you know that these sisters are service instruments. And if they are fine and healthy and in good, they have resources, then the seva will multiply. And we understand that you are a service instrument wherever you are. So we try to, channelize all of Baba's Gyan and Pyar and Shakti to you, so that you become powerful. So there is a love, there is an exchange, there is a taking care, but it's not based on emotions, it's based on very concrete understanding. And that understanding is that you want everyone to be spiritually empowered, so that we create an age, a world of spiritual power, which is golden age. Okay, so Baba says this is something very important. Now, when you are in a family setting, how do you do this? So I told you how do you do this with the body, okay? Now, when you are in relationships, You should also understand that um, you want everybody to move towards knowledge, towards peace, towards purity, towards good intentions, because that's what will define their spiritual journey. And if you want anybody to become like that, then you have only one powerful instrument to create that atmosphere, which is your own life, your own example. And this is why you have to always behave knowledgefully, lovefully, peacefully, with purity, have a clean heart, because only then you can inspire the other person to be so. So, whenever you are good because you want your goodness to serve the others and make them good, not because you want them to be attached to you or you want something in return. You want this culture of goodness to spread. So this is why we love, this is why we behave, this is why we do everything. So think about this. Think about the life of Brahma Baba. And it requires a lot of sacrifice. And the biggest sacrifice is the sacrifice of your old sanskars, the sacrifice of your old ways of being and doing things. And this is why you will have to check and change many times before you arrive at this balance of doing it right. Yes, so this is very important. And in the blessing also, Baba is asking us to become Master Trikal Darshi. Now, what is Master Trikal Darshi? So, everything has a past, a present, and a future. So, whenever you are in a situation, understand the past of the thing in the light of knowledge. Okay? So, let's take a very simple example. Somebody is talking rudely to you. Yes? And then you try to find out why they are being rude to you. You try to find out what's the reason. Now, what you arrive at is that because you corrected them in the evening, so they are correcting you in the morning. And you corrected rudely, so they are doing the same. But instead of interpreting it like that and saying that, I am senior and this one is junior, and still they are trying to correct me, and where I am not wrong and they were wrong, so I corrected them. So if you try and give this interpretation, then how you behave, how you respond will be very different. Okay, will be very negative, I think. But if you try and understand that why is this person behaving like this, because that's a sanskar. So if you look at the reason with the light of knowledge, then you arrive at a reason which is spiritually true. And then how do you deal with a bad sanskar? By being seated in a good sanskar. Okay, so you interpret why this is happening in the light of knowledge. You decide how to respond to it with the light of knowledge. And you also keep in your awareness what you are going to become by responding to it in this way. So that is Trikal Darshi. So you are trying to see the past, present, and future all in the light of knowledge. So even if you can see that you will lose that argument right now, or you may lose some ego in this place, you don't see the immediate loss, you see that you are keeping your peace intact. So Baba says, become a master Trikaldarshi. I have given you the knowledge of the past, why everything is the way it is. And that knowledge explains everything very differently from how the world explains it. And then I have taught you how to respond to things, which is very different from how you are taught to respond in the world. And then I have also taught you what you should be interested in as a result, rather than what the world teaches you, what you should be interested in terms of result. So when you take into calculation all these three things and then you behave in a setting, that's called being Master Trikaldarshi. Okay? Om Shanti.